Good morning. Today's adventure is brought to you by the great and dry state of Nevada. That's right, we are on the west coast for this week and decided to go out here and take some hikes and make some cool videos, document my adventures out here in Nevada. Today's adventure is also brought to you by the color red, for we are in the renowned Red Rocks Canyon. We'll be doing two hikes today. Correction, we'll be doing three hikes, but two hikes off this one trailhead. We'll be doing Calico Tanks, which is probably the most popular trail in the canyon. And then we'll be going up to Turtlehead Peak, which is that guy right up there. So those are the two we got going on today. I'm sure this is going to be a very great hike because not too often do I get to go and do desert hiking. So this is a big time change of scenery for me. It is early. It's just over past 6. The gates open at 6, so I was here first thing in the morning. It's still cold. It's still about 35 degrees, but I'm sure it's going to warm up quite nicely as we continue our hikes, especially hiking that monster. Okay, let's get on the road here and I'll check in soon. So right from the beginning, we get to this place called Grand Circle, which is just a big it's a big junction point for a whole bunch of trailheads. So I think there's like 5 or 6 that start off from right here. See, the sun's coming out, so it's getting a little bright out here. Hopefully it starts warming up soon because it's still very, very cold. See these big old boulders here. This used to be a big old quarry. So they would cut out these big boulders and use them for, you know, whatever they need big boulders for. Construction sites, I suppose. Over here you can see where they cut them out. It's pretty cool and a good example of the red rocks of Red Rock Canyon. These rocks turn red because these are all sandstone, and when it rains, the erosion washes away the earth and it just leaves the minerals exposed. And once oxygen attacks those minerals, oxidation happens, and it's basically rust going on, happening to these rocks here. So that's pretty neat. Definitely very different from the very green and evergreeny area of the Northeast that I'm used to. But these boulders are they weigh a few pounds, that's for sure. Probably a couple, I don't know, 50 to 100 tons, and it's pretty massive stuff. But I believe my trailhead starts over here, and we're gonna go to some place called Calico Tank first. Which, if you know anything about cats, calico cats are very colorful, very reddish. So I imagine Red Rock Canyon's Calico Tank is going to have something to do with some red rocks out there. So we will find out when we get there. So this is where my trail junction's off. I'm going to be doing the Calico Tank trail, like I said, and then when I return here, I'll start going up this way to go attack Turtlehead. So those big sandstone boulders, they stopped using this area as a sandstone quarry because it just wasn't cost effective. It just costs too much money to get the machines out here to move those huge heavy boulders to where they need it. So I guess they grab it from elsewhere, which is fine. You know, I don't know, this place is pretty wild. It'd be really nice to conserve these types of areas. But still working away. Already saw a rabbit, so less than a half mile into my thing. Already got some fauna going on. Hopefully we get to see something a little bit more exotic. There was a sign in the parking lot saying check under your cars before you back up to see if there's any tortoises hanging out in there in the shade. So that would be pretty wild to see as well. So we got off the gravel trail, and it's got a lot more sandy and rocky. So I'm out here in Vegas for a business trip, and I figured I would go ahead and do some hikes, like I said. And I was a little bit upset because I wanted to bring my son out here and we do these hikes together, but it just wouldn't have worked with the schooling and all that. But now I don't regret that at all because just looking around, everything is climbable. We never would have gotten to where we wanted to go because he would have been so distracted climbing everything. It's just one huge jungle gym out here. The trail has been pretty well marked, which is a good thing because there's just all these offshoots that are so tempting to do. But definitely not a fan of walking in the sand. It's like you know, walking on the beach. Every step doesn't really feel like a full step. Oh, good Lord, I could spend all day just playing around right there. So I'm actually looking back on the way I just came from, and again, this trail is called Calico Tank. We already discussed why it's called Calico, but that's why it's called the tank right there, is that little section right there, which when precipitation happens and it's more moist, that actually turns into like a pond, as you can probably tell from the different types of plants that are growing down there. Obviously ones that need more water. It's been pretty dry this year, so obviously it's nothing right now, but there's a tank right there. And on the other side of the tank, I guess we got to look out over here. Let's see what we have over here. Just climb this real quick. Here we go. Wow. Okay, so hold on. All right, just wanted to clear that gap and not die. A little ravine right here, and real quick, I'm not sure what the difference is between a canyon and a ravine. I should have looked that up, but Red Rock Ravine has such a nicer flow to it than Red Rock Canyon, but there must be some reason for it. But I digress. I won't complain about naming conventions anymore in these videos, but just to give you an idea of the look out here, it's pretty spectacular. Sorry for the sun, but it's rising right there. You see out there, that's a pretty recognizable skyline. That's the Las Vegas Strip. Here's the rest of it. So this is why this is one of the more popular hikes in Red Rock Canyon. Not only was it a really cool hike with a lot of bouldering and all that stuff, but it ends up at a pretty breathtaking view. Not a long hike. It's only about, I don't know, maybe a mile and a half to get here. So I'm gonna go ahead and circle around back, and let's go hit up Turtlehead, which I think is right on the other side of those hills there. Okay, cool. So there's been a lot of these little ravines I got to jump over. Canyons, ravines, gorges, who knows. Which, you know, I'm pretty athletic. It's really not that bad, but you know, when I'm holding the GoPro, it does make it a little bit more challenging. But this is like the third or fourth one that I have to do here. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll just keep on going down here. It's got a little bit of water. Who knows what type of bacteria is living in that water. That puddle's probably been there for years. But yeah, there's just these like little places that just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper here. There's caves everywhere, handholds. It's a climber's paradise, no doubt about that. We are circled back around, and I've already started the Mount Turtlehead Peak Trail. But as you see, we're definitely getting into some awesome trail desert fauna here. I believe this is agave, I believe. Yeah, so Turtlehead Peak is pretty high. It's not the tallest one in this area. The tallest is there's actually two mountains that are taller. Las Padres and Las Madres, which I believe is those guys. Madres on the right, being a little bit taller than Padres. But Turtlehead is just underneath that in amounts of elevation. It is higher than Mount Mitchell, which is the highest point on the East Coast. I'm sure sooner or later I'll make a video of Mount Mitchell. But the difference is, you know, Mount Mitchell probably starts at a much lower elevation. That's typically how it works on the East Coast. That's why these West Coast mountains are so high, because we're already starting out pretty high. Making progress. Just trekked on through that area there. Get a little closer to Turtlehead. Looks like the trail is definitely going to get a lot more elevated now. But this is the scenery I'm working with here. See, there's a gravel road leading to Lord knows where. But they have these posts up every so often to show the way, which are real helpful because, you know, hiking in the Northeast, the trails are pretty evident because, you know, it's just a cut through the woods. This is such wide open area here that there's a lot of paths cut through the woods. We call them deer paths up in the Northeast, but I don't think they have deer out here, so I don't know, maybe tortoise paths. Take a lot of years for a tortoise to make a path. But there's a lot of these paths just cut out into the this openness here. And you're like, oh, is this the trail? I'm not sure. So you just got to keep your eyes open for these markers here. You can see the other one in the distance there. But yeah, this is the approach to Mount Turtlehead, which it sounds like a 12-year-old boy named this mountain, and snickering and giggling as he said so. I said I wasn't going to complain about naming conventions anymore, but I guess that might look like a turtlehead. Who knows? Plus, do they even have turtles out here? Because everything I saw was saying they're tortoises. Is there a difference? I don't know. I'm rambling. All right. Well, might be walking in the shade soon because it's getting a little warmer here. But I haven't made it back to the car yet to disrobe any, and I didn't bring a backpack, so I didn't want to carry. So I'm just gonna keep on wearing this, and hopefully in that shade it'll come in handy again. Almost to the peak. Almost to push. I just made it on the other side of this canyon here. Tell you what, I turned a corner and all of a sudden the wind just picked up big time. I'm sure the camera's picking up on it, but pretty breathtaking out here. Okay, we are at the summit of Turtlehead Mountain. I'm going to talk a little louder because the wind is really whipping around up here, and I'm sure like I said before, the mic's picking up on it. But first things first, you got one of these up here if you're into that thing, geocaching or something like that. I know a lot of people do it. What a fun hobby. I want to give you a view of, like I said, the third highest peak in the canyon here. But out there is Las Vegas Strip. And you got Las Madres and Las Padres out there. And of course this range we were looking at, the entire way up here. See, there's a parking area, and there where it started. I forget the name of that mountain out there, but that's pretty much always snow-capped. That's really, really high elevation. What range that's part of. Yeah, this is it. Really, really tell from what happened. The last part of the hike was anticipated a hard hike, and I would agree with that. That last section was pretty rough. It was steep, but the trail, you can see, it's kind of like gravel. So walking uphill in gravel really makes it difficult. Total calf burner. Here it is, and on the way down, it's going to be all downhill, so that should be easy. But I'll go ahead and stop filming now so we can get rid of this wind. Almost on my way down. There's the peak again. You see that big rock formation in the middle. On the way up, I was on to the left-hand side going up. On the way down, I decided to go down to that ravine on the right-hand side, which was a really fun trail. A lot of boulder hopping there. It is interesting because some of these rocks, the way the water erosion works against them, really creates some really crazy formations on it. It reminds me a lot of, if you've ever been on a Navy ship, the flight deck, the way they have a very, a lot of traction and whatnot. The closest I can find recently is something like this, where the water just eats away at it and it forms these little cracks and crevices, but you know, the peaks get to be very, very sharp, and which is great for a grip on your shoes, but if you slip and fall, you're really going to tear yourself up pretty good on it. And that's pretty much my conclusion of this desert hiking is, deserts are very pointy. Like, everything about them is pointy. I showed you that cactus earlier in the videos, and I also the agave, which I accidentally, here's one right up here, I backed into, and it stabbed me in the leg, and oh man, like it definitely pierced skin. Like the point of these are, it's like a spike. It's like getting stabbed with a stiletto or something. So, word of the wise, you know, wear Kevlar pants next time you go hiking. No, you don't have to. No, these trails are pretty wide open. Just, you know, you have to keep your bearing and, you know, your eyes open. Otherwise, you can easily walk into something that could, you know, pierce you. There they are again. They're all over. Let's stay down on this trail here. Trail goes up that way, but that's the way I came, and I've been walking down in this ravine the whole way. Might as well continue on it. Just get a little different experience on the trails. I got to head out to that gravel road out there anyway, so it's kind of hard to get lost at this point. So the trail is more or less, you know, choose your own adventure. You're heading that way, so whatever way you want to go down. Like super fun stuff like this, right? Let's see. Probably should have my headband on for this one. I'm going to need both hands. Let's see what we can do here. Alright, no problem. There's a couple of dips. Here we go. So yeah, like I said, there certainly is trails, but this is just wide open wilderness here, so it really is, if you can see where you got to go, it's kind of choose your own adventure. Alright, we are just about done walking back to the parking lot now. Our metrics are 6.6 miles and 3 hours and 20 minutes. Not too bad, with 2,400 feet elevation gain, which that was all at the Turtlehead Mountain, because that was quite the trek going on up there. But yeah, this is hikes 1 and 2, parts 1 and 2 of a 3-part series that I plan on doing here at Red Rocks Canyon. We got one more to do. What a playground this has been so far. My only regret so far was the fact that, you know, I was here right when the gates opened at 6 o'clock and it was dark, and I wasn't able to actually see it in its glory as you're driving in, because it's a scenic road that you drive around in order to access all these parking areas to do the hike. So, but I'll be able to see that on the way out. But yeah, other than that, this has been something else. All right, so enough of that. Let's go get to our third one.